Mason Mount. Yo, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy. Namaste. How you all doing? Tonsillitis, Ilyan, back here in your ear holes to talk to you about Chelsea news. That's right, I'm feeling rough, but I want to provide the content to you guys, my sweet viewers. I can't promise there'll be a match review after tonight's game. I might have to go to sleep, but I'll do it tomorrow morning. I've also done a video today on my other channel, Football Yannick, which I'd urge you all to go and check out to show your love. The link is down in the description, but we're not talking about that at the moment. We're talking about a few things in today's Chelsea news video. One is Mason Mount has won Player of the Year, an incredible achievement and well deserved. A few words on the young midfielder, and I want to talk to you about new contracts. Rudiger, Christensen, and indeed the gaffer himself, Thomas Tuchel. Lots to get into today in Chelsea news, so make sure you're subscribed with the bell turned on because you want to be updated. You want to be the first to know, and you can achieve that by making sure the bell notifications icon is clicked. Feel free to drop a like to show your sweet love as we get into the first story of today and talk about young Mason Mount. So I called it in January. I tweeted out he should win our Player of the Season. I went early doors, but he was demonstrating such an incredible dedication on the pitch, no matter where he was deployed, under Frank Lampard or Thomas Tuchel. He trains so well, Mason Mount. Obviously, we all know Frank Lampard loved him. He took him to Derby, took a chance on him. He brought him to Chelsea, started him. He defended him when people criticised him. We all know he was son of Lampard. But Thomas Tuchel, a sort of elite European super coach, has come to Chelsea, left him out of the starting lineup for the first game, brought him on in said game, and he changed it to a degree, and he hasn't looked back since. In fact, Thomas Tuchel himself has recently said Mason Mount is the full package and he can do everything. So there you go, critics silenced across the board. And Mason Mount has won our Player of the Season deservedly. I think eventually he will become the Chelsea captain. He's had such an incredible journey to where he is now. He was in the academy, his family were telling him to leave, saying, look, you won't push into this Chelsea first team. Oh, the only regular is John Terry, since it just doesn't happen at Chelsea. And he said to his father, Tony Mount, no, the next one's going to be me. I'm going to keep trying. He went on loan into Holland to Vitesse. He went on loan to Derby, and he forced his way through. He worked hard, and now in his second full season for Chelsea Football Club, he's won Player of the Season. So a round of applause for Mason Mount. The season's not done. He is getting better. We expect him to get better. He himself expects to be better. And we've got an incredible player on our hands. Right, I'm about to talk to you about contracts and stuff, but if you haven't watched it yet, I want to take a moment to urge you to watch the video I uploaded yesterday regarding Harry Kane. That's right, he's leaving Tottenham this summer as a big blockbuster transfer, or at least he wants to. Chelsea, Manchester United and City are all interested in the England captain. You can hear all my thoughts on this big transfer story by checking out yesterday's video. Go have a little browse. Alright then, let's move on to the next story of today and talk about contracts. Right then, so Thomas Tuchel was asked in his recent press conference about Antonio Rudiger. Like Andreas Christensen, he is going into his last year of his contract next season. Thomas Tuchel was posed the question, would he push for a contract extension for Rudiger, because he's been such a massively important figure in his team since he's arrived at Stamford Bridge. And Thomas Tuchel responded really positively and says, yes, absolutely, provided the player wants to stay, I would recommend to the club, I want him to stay, I'd push for an extension as well. Antonio Rudiger, he's an interesting character. Under Frank Lampard, I wasn't the happiest with him, and to be honest, even prior to that, to some degree, I didn't think he was necessarily elite. But the wonderful thing about football is you can be proven wrong, and I certainly have been. Antonio Rudiger has been magnificent, or nearly magnificent for Chelsea under Thomas Tuchel. A leader, he's been much better with distribution, and Chelsea have been generally defensively immaculate with the German international in our back three. So it makes sense. Why would you spend money on another defender when you've got one that knows the system, who's in his prime in terms of his age? You absolutely should give Antonio Rudiger a contract extension. Let's take a look at his player data here from Transfermarkt to give you some context of what's going on with his profile and his contract. As you can see, he'd be going into the last year next season, and in terms of how he plays under Thomas Tuchel, another full pre-season, a couple of new players around him, he could be a big part of a title winning team. Makes complete sense to me. Right, let's move on to the next player I want to talk about, and that is of course another centre back, young Andreas Christensen, who's probably mid-20s now, not so young. He too is going into the last year of his deal. Now he's an interesting one because unlike Antonio Rudiger, Andreas Christensen has been highly rated by the club always for a long time. Chelsea were concerned that he might not fit certain managers' ideas and that perhaps sometimes he could seem lightweight for the Premier League. But his talent and his ability and his distribution was always recognised, and Chelsea were fearful of him going on a free or being sold for cheap and then doing really well at a La Liga giant club or something like that. I'm citing this notion from Matt Law, who spoke about this on the London is Blue podcast. He said, look, Chelsea know his value and they're frightened of him becoming world class elsewhere, maybe in a different league. So they will be very keen to also sign Andreas Christensen up on a new contract. He, of course, has also been incredibly important for Chelsea, deputising for Thiago Silva in the middle of a back three, but also showing that he's very capable of playing on the flanks as well. So you could actually argue, in some ways, he's more valuable than Antonio Rudiger due to his versatility. Probably not as physically tough as him though, and maybe not quite, have the same leadership qualities. Let's have a look at the player data for Andreas Christensen now. As you can see, a little bit younger, also going into the last year of his contract. The fact how he's playing, Chelsea will absolutely want to sign him up to a new deal, especially considering his age, protecting his value as an asset, because Chelsea are of course a business. So this for me is two no-brainers, signing up Andreas Christensen and Antonio Rudiger to two new deals. Maybe a slightly longer term deal for Andreas due to his age. Right, let's move on and talk about the third and final contract story of today. Talk about Thomas Tuchel. Now, of course, he came to Chelsea and signed a short-term deal, only 18 months, which would lead him also going into the final year of his contract next season. Now, he's voiced concerns about this, or spoken about how he was concerned when he first received the deal, but then figured, look, I've got to do well to get a new contract anyway, so he just applied himself, which is a great way of looking at it. And you would argue, no matter what happens now, he could maybe still get a new contract. If Chelsea lose the Champions League final and finish 5th, God forbid, that would seem like a dismal failure to the end of the season, and in terms of the end of the season, it would be a collapse. But in terms of getting to both these finals, yes, Frank Lampard did some early work in those runs, but Tuchel took the team to the end, as well as fighting for top 4. I think it's a little bit unfair. I keep talking about 10th in January or whenever Lampard was sacked, but I think the truth is someone told me we're only a few points off top 4 then. So I think contextually you've got to be a little bit fair. It wasn't actually like a world away top 4. But despite all that, Tuchel has sorted out the sort of unity of the team, and he's brought in a sense of pragmatism, and he's beaten big clubs and big managers. That alone, you'd think, why would they look for someone else now? Do you know what I mean? Like, why would they look for someone else now? Like, it's working. Rather than, you could say it's the difference between just keeping him happily and letting him run his contract down, and then maybe giving him an extension, or tying him down, because what if he does quite well with Chelsea, sort of falls out or something, then just goes elsewhere to a Barcelona or Real Madrid? They still want to protect the manager as an asset, as they would a player. So I think odds are, regardless to what happens, provided he keeps a good professional relationship with the board, I think when the season finishes, you can expect a contract extension for the Chelsea manager, Thomas Tuchel, as well. If he finishes top 4 and loses the Champions League final, it's still a successful season for him, being parachuted in mid-season, achieving European football and settling everything down, because that's what needed to happen. With Frank Lampard, there was problems behind the scenes. At least everyone's moving in the same direction now. Thomas Tuchel's achieved that, and he seems like a very experienced, calm head as a coach. So we can expect loads of new contracts to be signed in the summer, as well as hopefully a couple of new signings. Who knows, maybe even Harry Kane. I'd urge you to go and watch yesterday's video for more information on that. Anyway, of course, let me know your thoughts, feelings and opinions down in the comment section below. Drop a like if you've enjoyed the video. Consider subscribing if you are new. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you later.
You ain't so tough with that bad boy talk. I'ma get it how I'm living, I'ma walk the walk. Outline my lines, I rap through thought. Body bag the verse, outlined in chalk. In my life seen trouble, hustle on the double. Silence on the trigger like my pick got a muzzle. Yo chick like to guzzle, bad boy stay in trouble. I only love this paper, sorry I don't. I laugh me baby.